wonders who brought you RuPaul's Drag Race and $1 Million Listing. This is World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Wow Report on Radio Andy. We count down the top 10 things that made us go, wow! What a week it has been. I'm Fenton Bailey, co-founder of World of Wonder, joined joined at the hip, joined in some new weird way. Uh-huh. Yes, Blake Jacobs.
Hi. I'm here.
Formerly our millennial producer, but now he just sort of seems to be one of the group.
Center seat.
Tom Campbell will be back.
Yeah,
that is a promise.
Are you promising? Are you really?
And here you can hear the dulcet tones of James St. James.
How dare you, darling?
There you are. You're wearing a beautiful bitch T-shirt.
I am. It's a Bobby Trendy original.
Yeah.
Remember he came in the office and gave us all shirts.
Yes, I love it.
And it's laundry day, so I have no clean shirts, so I'm wearing my free giveaways.
I love it. Okay, and you can see us. You can watch us on the YouTubes, right? In addition to listening along here on Radio Andy or on Radio Andy app, right?
And we record right outside of our WoW store.
That we do.
And we'll be packing that all up and heading to New York City next weekend.
That we will,
yep.
Right? Because what is happening? It's DragCon
New
NYC. Tickets are available 6th, 7th, 8th at the Javits Center. RuPaulsDragCon.com. That's where you get your tickets.
I'm very worried about it. I don't have my outfits ready. I don't have any of the merch ready. I don't have my travel plans ready. I don't have anything ready, and yet it's coming. It's like barreling towards me.
You can get this gorgeous T-shirt at James's booth.
That is a James St. James T-shirt. Yes,
right.
Look at how lovely
very
I look.
Good. And I saw you shoveling boxes of merch into a truck the other day. So
he was just stealing from the office.
What do we got on the countdown this week at number 10?
Number 10.
Number 10, did you guys hear about this guy who died in New York City?
How dare you, sir? I can't believe you're pilfering my stories. This is an outrage.
So James was going to do this story, but he insisted on something else. So I opened up the story and was reading it, and it is one of my biggest fears in life. So this guy, he was getting off the elevator, and like two people had gotten off before him. Two people were behind him. He was getting off. The elevator falls and cuts him in half.
That must be an urban legend.
No, it's on ABC News.
No, it is. It's a story that's everywhere. And the thing is that people have been complaining about this elevator in this building for years, apparently, that it does like all these weird, bizarro things, and everyone's terrified of it. And once a week, people are trapped in this elevator, and they haven't fixed it. And now a man has lost his life.
Yeah, it plummeted to the basement, and the two people that were still in there, I just imagine, like, were they covered in...
Well, blood and guts and everything. Yeah, because half of the body is in the elevator with them. And not only do they go plummet, they plummet to the floor, in which case you could be dying anyway, because, that's...
Right. How far did they fall?
I think they were getting off in the lobby, so
it was
would have
like
been the
basement. Yeah, I think it was like one floor, but still.
And that's a drop.
It is, yeah.
The people came and gave them like a ticket for the permit for the elevator, but it wasn't that elevator. It was like another one in the building. So all of this building's elevators, I don't think, are up to code.
It was in
what building are you talking about?
I think it was in like Hell's Kitchen in Clinton, right? It was sort of a...
I'm not sure. Y'all are the New Yorkers.
Which is where Riverbank was, and it's in sort of... I used to live right there. It's very...
Is it so it's an elevator in a modern building?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Because here at World of Wonder, the elevator is the original elevator from when the building was built in 1926.
And it acts like it. I swear to God. I think there's a monkey up on the roof with a crank. It is the slowest elevator. It is the slowest elevator in Hollywood, but it also, every time I get in that elevator, and I'm just telling you right now, I take a bottle of water and snacks in case I get stuck.
And I jump onto the elevator now.
The thing
and
about
a bucket to pee in because...
the elevator is fine. It's just very, very slow, isn't it? In fact, if you walk up the stairs, you will be at the top floor before the elevator.
Yeah, it's true.
Slow. It's dependable.
Well, I don't know if you remember this, but when the building first started, it was the fastest elevator, and it would like drop, and everyone would be like, "Ah!" And it was like terrifying. And the elevator inspectors came and slowed it down. They went up to the roof, and they made it go from very fast to very slow, and that was a purposeful thing.
Well,
You
at
probably
least
don't
we're
remember that 'cause
safe.
you're
Better
getting older.
Better safe than sorry.
Yes.
Right. Well, who was the victim?
Well, he was only 30 years old.
Oh, bless his heart.
I don't
And he
know.
was sort of cute too.
Yeah,
I think.
he was
Yeah.
cute.
But
But his dad like called into ABC News and was like, he'll never be a father and all this stuff. It's just a shame. Like,
Well, but what's really a shame is that the people that were, in the elevator and half the body is in there with them and is bleeding out everywhere, and they were stuck in the elevator for another 2
Yeah.
hours with the bloody body,
Yeah.
the bloody half body.
That is awful. The other thing is, though, that I thought the whole point about elevators was that they were really safe, that they had fail-proof safety systems. Like when the elevator was invented, I guess it was Otis, he would do a trick where he would stand on top of the elevator and cut the wires to demonstrate this sort of patented fail-safe safety system.
Well, and yet, I mean, every once in a while, you still, I mean, no matter everything nothing is safe, nothing is safe.
well, they were talking about and this other thing that happened like a couple of years ago in Chicago. These people, one woman was pregnant, I think, fell 84 stories. Yeah. Oh. Like the elevator just dropped.
Oh, that
They
was
all
the tower.
survived,
That was
but
I think it was the Sears Tower. Or
I don't
one of
know,
the-
but it was like 84 stories.
Yeah,
like,
but it did stop. It did stop. It didn't go all the way to the bottom.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
It made it sound like they like plummeted to the bottom.
No, it was a wild ride.
I mean, every time you get into an elevator, you check to see if there's a little hatch that you can escape out of
yeah.
and all that and everything. What
If
was
you
that?
can survive the plummet to the basement.
What's that French movie where they're stuck in the elevator and the whole movie is them in the elevator and
C'est pas.
Didn't M. Night Shyamalan do some?
probably some
And you're supposed to jump, aren't you, just before it hits the ground?
Well, that's an urban legend, and that doesn't really do anything. They,
All right.
So R.I.P. that guy.
Okay, and we posted a link to the ABC News story on the Wow Report.
How many
so you
other
can
stories are you planning to
read more.
pilfer from me this episode?
Well, we'll see. You'll
Well,
have
now
to
it's
stick
your
around.
turn, James. You got number 9.
Number 9.
I watched the Halston documentary on CNN. Did you watch it?
I did. I watched it last night. Yeah.
It's funny because we've talked many times about these like 20th century characters that like Tallulah Bankhead and Betty Davis and Truman Capote and Diana Vreeland and Andy Warhol, these sort of self-created personas. And that really it's just a 20th century phenomenon. It really nowadays it doesn't really happen where these people sort of come and like Halston is one of those people who was a child growing up in Des Moines, Iowa,
Right.
and he dreamed of coming to New York and sort of, being a New York society person,
Right.
and he did. And the CNN documentary, it's sort of a well-known story. I mean, we all know the story of Halston.
I don't.
You know,
Exactly. I mean, who was Halston?
well, Halston was.
Oh, well, I love Hall. Like, he was like the Studio 54.
Yes.
But I don't know, like, his backstory.
Well, the backstory is fascinating because he was Roy Frowick from Des Moines, Iowa, and he moved to New York, and he was a milliner, and he designed Jackie Kennedy's pillbox hat, the very famous pillbox hat, because she had a bouffant hairdo, and she didn't want a hat obscuring her hair. So they came up with this little tiny thing that they just plopped in the back of her head, and then it took off, and he became world famous because of it. Then in the 1970s, he started designing clothes, and he designed for Liza Minnelli and Bianca and everybody.
And he was at Bergdorf, wasn't he?
He was at Bergdorf's, yes. That's where because he was a milliner there, and then
The store.
The store, yes. And then he had his own store on 58th Street, 57th Street, something like that. But he sort of, he and Andy and Liza and Bianca redefined society for the 1970s, what high society was. And it was all the Studio 54 disco people.
High society because they were high.
Because they were very high, indeed. And it was all Studio 54, and he became, more fabulous and more richer, and he just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and he would have the Halstonettes behind him wherever he went. There was like 30 models dressed in his clothes. Wherever he went, he was just followed by these people all walking in lockstep behind him. It was really fabulous. He was on the Love Boat, remember, and all the Halstonettes were on it. And then he started getting more and more high, and he would refer to himself as the Emperor. Remember?
Yeah.
And it was more megalomania. It was just like, and he moved into these enormous towers that sort of looked out over Manhattan.
Olympia Tower.
The Olympia Towers, yeah. And eventually, he made a deal with J.C. Penney's. in the early 80s, and he thought it was a fabulous idea that he was going to elegantly dress every woman in America, and he thought this was the next step in his empire. Well, the minute he signed that dotted line, Bergdorf's said, get everything out of the store. This man is persona non grata in the fashion community, and every single one of his stores dropped him because now he was this sort of like plebeian who was designing for the
It
tacky.
was really before the high-low, wasn't
Well,
it? Before high-low.
nowadays, everybody is designing for Uniqlo
Fusion
and
lines,
H&M,
Target.
Target. Everybody
Yes.
does that. But at the time, it was considered so scandalous that he really just, it destroyed him.
Similar to the moment when Cher did her infomercial
Yes.
Aquessentials.
Yes,
It
and
was a
we-
major sort of...
we thought
that was
she
the
was
knife edge
over.
moment.
Yeah,
Yes,
we
but
thought
she wasn't, was she?
She wasn't.
I even remember that.
But he was, and
Yes.
because his drug addiction was spiraling out of control, and he started not showing up to work, and eventually they replaced him with another designer, and it was John
Edge or Ridge
John
or
Ridge
something.
for Halston,
Yeah.
and Halston wasn't even then eventually he wasn't even allowed in his office, and then they took his name and they said that we're going to keep designing under Halston.
Well, he sold his life rights
Yeah, he
his
sold-
to Norton Simon in
Yeah.
his $1 billion deal early on in his
And
career.
as they got madder and madder at him, they said, you're out of the company. They changed the locks on his doors, and he wasn't allowed to use his name anymore in public. He designed him in private for Liza and Martha Graham, but it was over. And then in '88 is when that's when he was diagnosed with AIDS.
Which, of course, then was a death sentence.
It was a death sentence. And at that point, he just sort of gave up, moved to California, ghosted everybody. Liza and Andy were calling him. He wouldn't pick up the phone.
This sounds like I'm being negative, but it's the same old story. Alan Carr, the producer, was, these bright, fabulous people who trace this dazzling arc. Suddenly, something goes wrong, whether it's drugs, whether they say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing or cross some kind of line. And suddenly they just, as you say, they ghost themselves. It's as over as quickly as it began. And I felt watching the film, I didn't really get... of these videotapes, some of which survived. There was a scandalous part of the story where they erased all these videotapes to resell the blank videotape.
And it's like this.
They were
this
raking
stuff
over.
that was like this.
Priceless.
Priceless.
Halston went to China. Before Wham went to China, Halston went to China as a sort of the beginning of China
Before
opening
Richard Nixon
up.
went to China.
For God's sake.
Did
But-
people not go to China?
No,
it was
China was
closed.
closed. China has only become a
had-
superpower
Nobody
recently.
had been to China in like 300 years.
Right.
So it was kind of like North Korea?
Yes.
Yes.
It has emerged over the last 30, 40, 50 years as the superpower,
Right.
transformed itself from a ancient, backwards is the wrong word, but primitive.
Well, it was
not
just,
primitive.
It was,
What's
it
the
was sort
word?
of,
Just-
it was stuck in the past. It hadn't modernized.
It hadn't modernized, and it had this communist economy system that wasn't really working, right?
But,
Anyway.
yeah. So anyway,
But,
it's it's that thing. It's that Beau Brummel thing. Do you remember the story of Beau Brummel? And he was a fabulous fop back in the 1700s, and he was friends with the king. But
Right.
then he started getting a little snappy
Right.
and thinking he was better than the king. And one day at a we can't use any of this, but one day at a ball, he said to the king was with Alvinley, with his best friend. He said, "Alvinley, who is your fat friend?" As a joke, thinking that he was going to make a joke about
Right.
the king. Well, immediately everyone and for the rest of his life, wherever he went, everybody turned and wouldn't say anything.
Right.
He would walk down the street and everybody would turn and walk on the other side of the street.
It's like Oscar Wilde.
Yes.
It's like, Oscar Wilde, one slip of the tongue at his trial,
Yes.
and tables turned.
Yes,
you
and
know,
10
and
years
that was
later,
it, and
nobody
he
is
was-
still he is pretty, and that's exactly what happened to Halston.
But where I was going with this is ultimately, no, not sorry at all. Don't be sorry. I mean, you're quite right. But I felt that in spite of the tapes, I just didn't get under Halston's skin. And I suppose that was the thing about Halston. It was a gorgeous, formal presentation. He never really, you felt everything was performative and spin.
Everything
and,
was surface with him, and you never
Yes.
really. And he wasn't a likable person. And no matter, he was very talented, and the glitz and the glamour was all there. But he's not somebody that you would want to spend time with.
Well, you got a little sense of that when he went to China, and they play the tapes of them going to China. It's like Instagram. Everything looks fabulous. You think everyone's having a wonderful time. And then they rewind the tapes, and they show you some of the outtakes where he's ordering everyone around and barking
telling them
at
how to
people.
march, telling them how to
and,
walk,
like,
and yelling at them for slouching, and
Right.
just a horrible, horrible man. And so many of those people really were. I always say that like Elizabeth Taylor. Fabulous, 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 but you wouldn't want to spend time with her. You would not want to spend. There's so many stars that are just monsters, and you just really wouldn't ever want to.
Cheery, right? Well, speaking of monsters, number 8.
Number 8.
I went to see the Rolling Stones
Oh,
at
yeah.
the Rose Bowl.
How? Have you ever seen the Stones before?
I have seen the Stones before. I
When?
saw them once before in about maybe 10, 12 years ago, and I thought then that would probably be the
Yeah.
last chance.
And how are
to
they
see
holding
them.
up?
I found the whole thing disturbingly grotesque.
Oh.
Look, I mean, they're in good voice. They've got the hits. But something about it was just... look, okay, I know everybody's very mean and unkind to Madonna, who, my God, is barely 60. Who knows how old Mick Jagger and Keith Richards is? But the fact that they don't get...
Shit for being old.
Shit for being old, when I have to say, they look... okay. I've never really loved the Rolling Stones.
Right.
I've always sort of... I just thought they were sort of satanic and evil and sort of
Well,
immoral.
that's why I like them.
Well, okay.
There's a few stuff in the 60s.
I know I sound
that
like
are really
an old
good.
Puritan here, right? But I just thought I thought actually all their satanic Majesty's Request and Goat's Head. I thought it was all a bit like
Are you
cheap
sure you're
and tawdry
talking?
at the same time. Yes, that
But
was
that's...
I just paint it black and I don't know. Anyway, Mick Jagger now is almost like, it almost strikes me, he reminds me of Nan Kempner. Like the way he has this sort of mincing strut across the stage. And there is something so... I know once is what a wonderful dancer he is.
California Raisins is what he looks like.
I think he's like a broken toy. I just don't get that everyone thinks he's such a great dancer. He's just sort of jerking around.
Right, like moves like Jagger or whatever.
And moves like Jagger. It's a bit like when Trump was making fun of that disabled man. It just isn't.
Well,
it's
epileptic looking is what it is.
Thank you. Yes.
But the fact
I
is
can't believe
that
I'm saying this, Mick. I'm sorry.
no, but the whole point of the Stones was that they had the never never trust anyone over 30, and we aren't going to perform after our 20s, and here they are in their 70s and early 80s, and it sort of seems like there is a time to stop rock and roll.
Well, and I mean, Mick Jagger looks like an oil painting compared to Keith Richards. I mean, I thought the clown from It had appeared. It was a really scary sight.
Well, it's not like quit everything altogether, but you don't have to tour every 2 years and say it's like your final tour.
Yeah,
I feel like
they haven't had a hit song since the 80s,
90s.
And they didn't.
What was the last song?
I don't remember it, but there were like big models walking through Manhattan, like giant.
But was it actually a hit, or
It was
it
on
just,
VH1.
Well, there you go.
I just, I was so very, I just was, and then they began the show, they were showing the NASA logo, and we're like, why are they showing the NASA logo? And everyone was saying, they're talking, everyone, the internet's talking about this. And so long story short, their first album or concert was in 1964 when NASA launched a Mars lander, and they have a rock on Mars named after them.
Because this rock the sun. I thought the thing went around the sun.
I don't know. This rock, when the thing landed, this rock rolled, and they called the rock the Rolling Stone. And Robert Downey Jr. came out to tell this story. I just found the whole thing like slightly cloying and slightly awful, and I just couldn't wait for it to be over and leave. But if you're into the Rolling Stones,
God bless you.
I can't get no retro satisfaction. If you're into the Rolling Stones, they wrap up their No Filter tour tomorrow in Miami. And I guess if you miss them, don't worry, because they'll be back in another 10 years. And,
looking even...
I can't believe, actually, that Mick Jagger's wife, I can't remember which one, because Jerry Hall can't have been his first wife,
Bianca.
Married, of course, married Rupert Murdoch. I mean,
Jerry,
talk about
really?
sort of
Yeah.
grotesque.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And but they always talk about how Mick is absolutely nothing like his onstage persona. He's actually this sort of foppish, upper class, posh.
Well, that's the other thing. And also, I have to say, the fans are just the ugliest fans you ever saw. They were all really drunk and are just like got high off pot fumes.
And
just
they've
from just sitting
probably
around.
seen them 40 times.
Yeah. Oh, dear. And they were all... Anyway, okay. We'll be right back after the break. Blake, have you got a question for us?
I do. In what year did Facebook introduce user options for gender beyond male and female? No, I stole this from Hosting on Scruff. You know, the app. They have a really fun trivia game you guys should play.
So that's what you're doing on Scruff all night at 3 a.m. You're playing trivia. Is that what's really going on? Okay, Blake.
We'll be right back after the break.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. I'm Fenton here with Blake and James St. James. What was our trivia question, Blake?
Well, I asked, in what year did Facebook introduce user options for gender beyond just male and female?
I say it's 2015.
I was going to say that, so I'll say 2016.
You're close. 2014.
Okay.
Doesn't it seem like it was just yesterday, but 2014 seems
Well,
like
it seems
so
like
far
it
away.
should have been in 2009,
Well, yeah.
29 or something like that, yeah.
Totally.
So what are we doing?
We're counting down the top 10 things that make us go wow.
That's right. And what number have we reached?
Number 7.
Yay.
Number 7.
Have you ever heard of Disney's Biennial
Yes,
Expo D23?
DisneyCon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the D23 Expo.
Is it always D23 or does the number change with
It's
every
always D23 because Disney, D is Disney, and 23 stands for 1923, the year that he founded the company.
So you learn something new every day.
Yes. Well, it happens every 2 years, and they had like their big expo this year and released a bunch of stuff. First of all,
Did you go?
I didn't.
Oh.
But I found a lot of the things interesting to talk about. I'm going to skip over the Star Wars because I'm not that big of a fan.
Oh, they just opened a new bit of a Star Wars this week, I think.
Well, and there's a new Star Wars movie coming out, and they released like the poster and a little teaser or something.
Is that what you just said?
Yeah, it's like the Disney theme park here in
yeah. I'm sorry.
in
I wasn't paying attention.
Anaheim. They've built a whole Star Wars world. It looks kind of cool.
Yeah.
actually.
They also released or announced the release date of Black Panther 2,
Nice.
May 6, 2022.
Oh God, that's a long time.
And then did you hear that Kit Harington is joining the Eternals?
I heard. Oh, is it the Eternals? I knew he was joining the MCU, but I had no idea. Nobody knew what it was. Are you sure it's the Eternals?
Yeah, the Eternals is the one that. Is it going to be a movie or is it a show?
I don't know.
I think it's a movie, and it's the one with Angelina Jolie in it.
Right. Yes. Oh, I love me some Kit Harington. Oh my God, I'm back in. I've been reeled back into the MCU.
He's the guy from Game of Thrones.
Oh,
right?
is he the guy
He
from
is
Game of
hot.
Thrones? He's also the guy from Pompeii. Do you remember? It was a
Well, you went to
What a-
Pompeii.
I did, but Kit wasn't there.
What? He lurks around Pompeii. He's a
Just
tour
jumps out
guide.
at you.
He's a tour guide.
Black Widow is coming May
I'm not
1st,
excited
2020.
about
Oh,
that.
I love Scarlett Johansson. I just love
I
her.
don't like
I love her
Scarlett.
footer.
I don't like her.
You don't like her?
No.
Why not?
She's the equivalent of I don't know. I just well, that's a whole other topic.
Oh.
Okay, well, one of the two things that really made me excited, they released a look of Emma Stone as Cruella DeVille.
Yes! My God, I'm sorry. You'll have to down the vocals there, but
Doesn't she kind of look like Mandela Luzon?
well, the thing is this is a prequel to 101 Dalmatians, and it's the story of Cruella DeVille and how she developed her hatred for dogs. She was a punk rocker in 1970s London, and she was like a runaway, and she ended up like I don't know being attacked by dogs or something. I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know, but she looks fantastic.
I'm really excited about that.
So it's all punk. It's London in the 1970s. Is the whole movie.
Well, that sounds good, but Cruella just always looks like Cruella. Like they all look the same. Who was Glenn Close? Was Cruella?
Yeah, Glenn Close.
I think the cartoon version was the most scary.
I do
Was
too.
that Tallulah, or were they just pretending? Were they just pretending to be Tallulah?
Oh, I don't
Because
know.
it was like how Divine is
Yeah.
the rep for
Yeah, I didn't never. I know.
Yeah, no, it was supposed to be Tallulah Bankhead.
Well, I love the cartoon one. She was so fierce.
Yeah.
They announced a couple of Pixar movies, Onward and Soul.
Well, we'll be crying at both, of course.
Uh-huh. And then the other thing that I'm really, really excited about is the reboot of Lizzie McGuire.
Oh, that is your generation, isn't it?
Well, it's actually a little after my generation.
But you were sitting in your dorm room smoking pot and watching Lizzie McGuire.
I loved Lizzie McGuire.
What is Lizzie McGuire?
What is Lizzie McGuire? You don't know? Nolan doesn't ever watch.
It was an early aughts Disney show. It was kind of like the Hannah Montana of its time. Hilary Duff, that's where she became,
that's where she became
right.
famous.
And it was just her in like middle school, and then it would have a little animated Lizzie that would like come in, and it was really But
I'm excited.
so in this new reboot, she has just turned 30, and it's her life in Manhattan. So we'll see.
I'm waiting for Princess Diaries reboot or a sequel where we find out what happened to Anne Hathaway's character.
Oh.
Did she ever end up with Chad Michael Murray? Did she ever end up with?
Are they making any more Descendants? You know, where it's the children of
I did
famous...
just hear that they canceled a series.
Because he died.
Yeah,
Remember?
that was
Well,
very-
I heard that the show or the writers turned it in and it was too dark.
Oh, well.
Okay, well, that's D23. Yeah. Disney, of course, is going to take over the world. They got Disney Plus coming along.
And now they own Marvel, so.
Yeah.
And Fox.
And Pixar. So,
Well, there you go. I mean, that's all of entertainment right there.
Yep.
James, number 6.
Number 6.
Number 6, I went to go see Ready or Not. Do you guys know about this movie?
I want to see it.
It's the best movie of the year. It's the best movie of the decade.
You enjoyed it?
I really enjoyed it. It's a horror film, but it's a funny horror film where it's
Kind of like Scream?
kind of like Scream. Yeah, kind of. Not so much jump cuts. It's just like when the people die in sort of funny ways. It stars Samira Weaving. Do you know who that is?
Samara Weaving, was she on the OC?
I don't know. Maybe we'll have to look it up because she is a dead ringer for Margot Robbie.
Oh, here's the chain people.
Hold on for just 1 second. Okay. Anyway, she looks exactly like Margot Robbie. It's very disconcerting to watch. It also stars Adam Brody from the OC, and that would be weird if they were both on it.
I don't think she was in the OC. I think I was confusing her
Because
with
she's a
someone
young
else.
girl. She's very young. But Adam Brody has aged like a fine wine. He was, Seth on the OC.
The nerd.
Yeah, he was also on Gilmore Girls, and he's having a big career surge right now. He was just in Shazam. Did you see Shazam?
I didn't.
No, he was also in this new
think
series
anybody did,
called
right?
Curfew on Epix, I think, something like that. But anyway, he's 39 years old now and just as handsome as can be, just a daddy. And he was like the prototype of a twink in the early
I cannot
aughts.
believe that he's like 40.
And he looked, literally, he's just the handsomest man in the world. Anyway, the story of Ready or Not is, it's the classic tale of Hunter be hunted. A girl from the wrong side of the tracks, Samara, marries into this very wealthy family. And they made their money off of board games in the early 20th century. And they're at this big mansion, and then after the wedding, the groom takes her aside and says, "Listen, honey, at midnight, it's a tradition in this family that everyone gets together and they play a game. And if you win the game, you get to be a part of the family." Or so it's something very weird like that. And she's like, "What?" And he's like, "Yes, it's just do it." And so at midnight, everybody gathers, and the family is all very creepy and weird. And they gather around a table, and they say, "Now you have to get a card, and whatever game is on the card, that's what we play." And sometimes it's like Old Maid, sometimes it's Gin Rummy, whatever it is. Well, she picks a card, and it's hide and seek. And everyone's face just goes white. And he's like, "Listen." And he takes her aside and he says, "Just go and find a place to hide and stay there until 8 o'clock in the morning, and then you'll be okay, and then you'll win." And she's like, What's going on? So she goes and hides in a dumbwaiter in the mansion. And she's sitting there, and the minute she leaves the room, everybody in the family grabs a weapon, and it's like crossbows and, pitchforks and everything. And they all start fanning out, and all the doors and windows lock down. And they apparently, if you pick, hide or go seek, you have to be hunted until you... And if you make it till 8 o'clock in the morning, then you get to be a part of the family. So she's in the dumbwaiter, and then people start accidentally killing each other, and then at one point she realizes what's going on, and then she gets herself a gun, and then everyone's like, "Yeah!" and everyone's like standing up and cheering because like she rips her wedding dress off and she's got and then she starts hunting everyone, and it doesn't reinvent the wheel. It's just very and I'm not telling you anything that you don't know from the trailer.
Well, I saw the trailer and it was like she was like, honey, we're not going to play hide and seek, are we? And he says, yes. Because if you don't, you die. It's like, Jesus.
It's really just stupid, but it's really fun. And like I said, Andy McDowell is in it. Like everybody who's in it, and every time that you see another cast member, everyone, it's like, oh, it's very nice to see.
I've got to say that
it's really good. I just enjoyed it. I was in a really bad mood, and it just put me right. It made me, lifted me out of it.
Turned your world upside down.
Turned my world around.
Well, let's see. That's in movie theaters right now.
It is, yes.
I was at the movie theater, number 5.
Number 5.
I went to see Good Boys.
Oh,
we took Nolan to see Good Boys.
Really? Now, once again, Fenton, you took Nolan to see Sausage Party when he was 10.
I
think it is the same people.
And it starts off with a scene with this kid on his bed in his bedroom, and he's making the boobies of a avatar figure really large, and then he's getting prepared for a session of self-pleasuring.
Now,
and the father walks in, and
this one of those things, how do you do that with your? I remember,
but he's 12 now. It's time to teach him about the birds and the bees.
We thought this was he goes with his friends, not his dad.
I thought this would be a great way to break the ice. Anyway, it's a great
Son,
movie.
this is what self-pleasuring looks like.
It's crazy. It's about 3 12-year-olds who are best friends, and they're the nerds, right?
They're potty mouths, right?
But what is it like? I guess, on the one hand, James, you're talking about these documentaries about, American self-invented figures who go wrong. That's a trope. Another trope seems to be the high school movie. I just don't understand it. Like, why this obsession, this infantilizing obsession with these high school years? And every high school movie, James, you've made one. You should know about this. There's a scene in a corridor where students are just being chaotic, right?
Yeah.
And there's always
that was in my movie, too.
And there's always right? And there's always a best friend, and there's always a bully, and there's always a nerd, and there's always a fixated love interest, a hot girl that people are obsessed with. I felt, actually, that this movie, I hadn't seen it at the time, but then last night we watched Booksmart.
Oh, yeah.
I love that.
Booksmart and Good Boys are like sister movies. They are basically, in fact, the same movie. One follows 2 girls obsessed with getting to a party. That's Booksmart. And Good Boys follows 3 boys obsessed with going to a party to, in both cases, hook up with their love interests. And I guess in both cases, what these high school movies are doing are reversing the traditional thing, where it's like the nerds are actually really good people, and it's just sort of so that the gang leader or the really evil little squirt in Good Boys who like bullies everyone is a little Asian guy who's like teeny tiny. He's not a big bully. And then James, for you.
Oh no! Don't you say it.
Okay, moving on. That is a fabulous and hilarious sequence where they have to cross the 405. It is just so good. There's
like
also
on foot.
Yes, it's just really good.
But I have to just point out very quickly that you are not the target audience for these movies.
Oh, well, okay.
I'm terribly sorry. But
are you age shaming me? Am I the Rolling Stones?
But every generation needs its Fast Time at Ridgemont High or Clueless or everything like that.
Clueless is mine.
Everyone has their, what was the one with a few years ago?
Mean Girls.
No, not Mean Girls. For the boys.
Blah, blah,
oh,
blah.
Something Squad.
No. With for fuck's sake.
Well, okay, so in this, they're trying to go, and it's not just a party, it's a kissing party. I guess that's a thing, too, where you kiss people. And the 3 kids, they don't know how to kiss.
Where you play, like, 7 Minutes in Heaven, where you get in the closet and
they
make
spin
out.
the bottle, and they go to a kissing party, and The hilarious thing, though, is that the first they try the kissing on their parents. One of the kids' parents has a CPR doll. Except, of course, it isn't a CPR doll, is it? It's one of those silicon sex
Super
dolls.
bad.
Oh,
Thank you.
super
A
bad. Which
lot
is
of
the same people, right?
Yeah, a lot of reviews saying that this is a super bad for
The new
sixth
generation, yes.
graders.
Uh-huh.
So there's a great CPR doll sequence. It's actually really. They're like practicing kissing the mouth of the CPR doll. James, you were just on Google.
I used to do that
But
all the time with my
except
stuffed animals.
It wasn't a CPR doll. It's a life-size silicon sex doll.
uh-huh.
And they kiss it, and one of the kids goes away and says, "Oh, it's all sticky around the mouth, and oh, there's a hair." So there's, which, there's a lot of.
And what did
and there's a great vomit sequence, of course, and there's
yeah.
drugs. There's a great drug scene. I mean, it's got.
What is Nolan doing during this time? Is he mortified that he's watching it with you?
No, I think.
Or is he enjoying it?
We all had a good time and had a laugh, and haven't talked about it since.
You didn't have to explain the hair.
But I also think growing up in the South with our parents is probably different than growing up in Hollywood
that's
with
very
him.
true. Like I would never have been able to watch that with my mother.
No, me either.
I mean that just would never have happened.
But there is.
Wait, except for one time I did. My sister and I took my mom to what's the one with Steve Carell, the 40-year-old virgin. And the first scene, he wakes up with the boner and he can't pee and we were just sitting there mortified. And I was in my 40s at the time, and I was still mortified to be watching it with my mom.
Well, my mum, actually, the very first movie my mum ever took me to was a movie called Carry On Camping. And this was a series of British comedies called Carry On This, Carry On That. Carry On Camping, unbeknownst to my mother or I, was set in a nudist colony. So that was a bumpy start to the movie.
There was like Carry On Nurse and everything, right?
Yes,
and
Carry On Up the Khyber.
And it was very like Benny Hill humor, right?
Very Benny Hill.
Yes, okay.
Yes. Okay. Good Boys in theaters now. Blake, you got a question?
Yeah, it's gay again. What color? What color was removed from the gay flag?
Recently?
No,
Oh, in the beginning?
sort of.
Okay, we'll be right back with the answer. You're listening to the Wow Pod on Radio Andy. Just before we go to the break, let me tell you to tune into the new season of $1 Million Listings New York, Thursdays, 9 p.m. Bravo. It is really good. Best season yet, I have to say. And they're all pretty good.
Yeah.
So, we'll be right back.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report.
And we're back. I'm Fenton here with James St. James and Blake. And we're counting down the top 10 things that made us go, wow. Really provocative question before the break, Blake.
What color was removed from the gay flag?
In the beginning. Well, I mean, now we know that they put in the black and the brown.
Right.
Yeah.
This was before that.
Maybe it was white.
Was it? Was it like a
Orange?
pink or a purple?
Pink.
Yeah.
Why?
They actually removed two colors, pink and turquoise, because they were hard to reproduce.
That's interesting. Because pink and turquoise have become they're the two colors of the trans flag.
Yeah.
Right.
But
I think they put it back in with the brown and the black now. There's
maybe they did. Yeah.
It's like there's it's the colors of the rainbow. There's the colors of the rainbow, and then there's like also like a square that has the other colors in it.
Well, yeah, I think the guy that invented it or designed it, when he was taking it around San Francisco to find out who could mass produce it, everyone
remember
was
that
saying
story, yeah.
they didn't have like these pigments. So,
Oh, that's good to know. Number 4, we're counting down. What have we got?
Number 4.
well, I know you read this too. It's a little oral history of the 2009 VMAs.
10 years since Kanye got up on stage and traumatized Taylor Swift at the VMAs.
Is this a book? Is this a documentary?
Oral history.
Yeah, it was.
Where?
It's on Billboard.com, and several people from MTV that worked that VMA.
And this is a seminal moment in history that we need to recover and go back and
I take it
do
by
a
the
deep
question.
dive. I mean, it was 3 minutes.
It was a huge deal.
It was.
I mean, we're still dealing with Taylor. Her last album was basically about that moment. Sort of.
Well, that's just let it go, girl. Let it go. Dear God in
think
heaven.
you are 19. You're winning your first trophy.
yeah.
Oh, it wasn't her first trophy. She'd been winning trophies for 10 years at that point.
No.
She always remember there was this big trope about her. Me? Every
Yeah,
time
but-
the camera went up, no. And it was like she was such a phony. Give me a break, Taylor
Blake,
Swift.
what did you learn from reading this article?
Well, actually, I didn't know that like her and her mother were backstage crying after it.
a lot of tears. Beyonce
was crying backstage.
I think that's male projection. I don't think Beyonce was crying.
I don't
Beyonce
either.
doesn't cry.
Exactly.
She had those things removed.
And because Van Toffler takes credit for engineering the moment where Beyonce invites Taylor to have her moment.
Yeah,
and
the whole thing was like it snapped into my head. Why don't we make the whole arc this night or something
because
like
it happened at the beginning of the show, and then this was at the end. And
right? And so Beyonce ended up calling her up on stage, and
Yes.
sharing
Well, I mean,
her
it was
award
very
with her.
sad and very tragic and la la la. But do we really have to keep droning on about it for 10 years?
Jeez.
I mean, what a narcissist that she thinks that the world needs to keep discussing this for 10 years.
well, no, it's not. It's not
She
her
didn't-
fault. She refused to comment. She's moved on from
Oh,
that.
no,
one.
she hasn't.
But-
That's one of the no comment. And
just-
she knows that makes her even more
I
enigmatic.
am not loving the anti-Taylor moment.
No.
Because to me, I think the anti thing was, I just thought, as always, I feel that MTV is reprehensible in the way it sets up these moments. I mean, I will never forgive them for setting up Britney at the Video Music Awards with Gimme Gimme More. I thought she was literally like pushed out on that stage.
Yeah.
Set up to fail, and I feel that they've sort of and now
I
they're
love
taking
that performance though.
Oh,
I
well, no,
do too.
Yeah, but
I do too, but
But she wasn't in a place where she should
Right,
have been
no,
performing.
yeah.
And the thing is, and don't get me wrong, I love Taylor Swift. I've been singing "You Need to Calm Down" for 3 days.
James, you need to calm down.
I do need to calm down. I every single time a Taylor Swift song comes out, I go, "Ugh," and then 3 days later, I'm singing it. nonstop.
Even if you don't like Taylor Swift, I have to commend her for what she's been doing lately. She's even come out and said that she's mad at herself for not speaking out earlier.
Yeah, no, and she
has more Twitter followers
Did you
than
see,
he does.
Fox News has been talking about that. You need to calm down, Taylor. They're saying that she's.
Of course they are.
They're really coming out against her, which gives her more power in my view.
It makes her cooler.
Yeah.
do you remember the Bruno Eminem moment? That's another supposedly.
Oh yeah,
what
the
was
dog
that moment?
I don't remember. I think the dog was in his face and he was just like pissed at it or something.
Right? Was that the same award show or different
Wait,
one?
Bruno Mars and Eminem had
No,
beef?
Bruno the talking puppet dog.
Oh, I thought it was Bruno the.
Oh, maybe it is. Yeah,
But-
Bruno Sasha Baron Cohen.
Right, thank you.
oh.
But what
Yeah, that's not the dog's name.
Insult the comic dog.
Yeah.
Never mind.
I don't know. So okay, well that's the MTV Awards back then, 10 years ago.
I'll post a link to the article.
Okay, that's good. James, number 3.
Number 3.
Well, it's very exciting news.
This is the story that James traded in the man in the elevator for, by the way.
Listen, I'm going to reel you back in. I swear to God, this
Okay.
becomes more fabulous the more I go on.
Well, you better get started.
Okay, Netflix has a trailer for The King, which is a new modern retelling of Henry V. Right? One of your
still here.
favorites, right?
Okay.
You know the story inside now, right?
I don't know if I do.
Well,
Give me a
Timothy
clue.
Chalamet plays Henry
And he has a
V.
bowl cut.
But now would you stop it? You ruined the whole style. Oh my God, we have to start all over again. How dare you? That was where it starts getting exciting. How dare you stomp on my story? Just you wait till next week. I swear to God, I'm gonna get you for that. I will get you for that, young man. Anyway.
Oh my God! Watch out time you get in the elevator.
Yeah, right.
She's gonna be out there like hacking away.
It stars young Timothy Chalamet, who is the Prince of Hollywood right now. He is young Henry V.
Because he was in Call Me by Your Name.
He was in Call Me by
Was
Your
he
Name.
the loved one, or was he the man or the guy, the boy?
The boy.
Okay,
boy, yes.
okay. 'Cause I never saw the movie.
Oh yeah, probably.
can't
Watch it
possibly.
on the plane. It's next time you have a long plane ride, it'll be good for you. No, because it's lovely. It's beautiful. It's nice to look at.
I know, but my heart is like a withered walnut, so I can't
Anyway,
do
we're
stuff.
getting a little.
We
far
are
away.
off track.
Yeah, okay. It also stars Joel Edgerton as Falstaff.
Okay.
right?
Oh, it's coming back to me now.
Yeah, a little bit, right? This is the famous...
The Wastrel King who reforms his ways and saves Britain at Bolingbroke.
Yes, and the Crispin Day speech.
Right.
Once more unto the breach, dear friends. Yes. Also, the big news is that it stars Robert Pattinson
The Batman.
Our new Batman as the Dauphin of France, and he's wearing this fabulous blonde surfer boy wig, and he's really handsome. This is the best Robert Pattinson has ever looked. Really nice. But the big takeaway is Timothée Chalamet's haircut in this. He has a bowl cut, bump. And when I tell you that it has divided the internet, people have taken sides, and you are one or the t'other. People either love it, or they hate it, and say that it's the worst thing to ever happen to Hollywood. It's the worst thing to ever happen to hairdo.
And where do you stand?
I love it.
With your dick in hand.
Timothée Chalamet's bowl cut in The King is the start of a revolution. Okay? And it says that lately the bowl cut has been everywhere. If you look at his picture right there, do you see it?
Good.
I think
I think it looks good.
I don't think it even looks like a bowl cut. Like my bowl cut in the 90s did not look like that.
Well, but it is a bowl cut because it goes straight around, and it's like Friar Tuck or something
it's
like
quite
that.
a severe bowl cut. Actually. It's a sort of
severe
unmodified bowl cut.
The Esquire is saying that no, don't you look, because I got to show you. So anyway, the everywhere lately has been this bowl cut in pop culture, and we haven't really been paying attention to it.
Oh.
First of all, you see Octavia Spencer in Ma. She has one.
Okay.
Right? Then we have Finn Wolfhard in Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then, of course, the big takeaway is Trixie and Katya in Esquire magazine, saying they are at the forefront of this fashion revolution.
Well, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. In fact, Trixie just tweeted, "Everyone can eat my ass because I am a fashion icon now." And so they're running with this. They are saying she also had a show called Super Bowl Cut in 2018, and they're just saying that the bowl cut is all the rage, and that at Fashion Week this week that everyone is going to be sporting bowl cuts.
Okay, the Super Bowl.
The Super Bowl.
The Super Bowl.
The Super Bowl cut.
Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that.
So it's I just wanted to say that.
So next year at this time we'll all be sitting here with bowl cuts.
It's true.
Well, I will.
You will. I don't have any hair.
We'll have wigs, and we're gonna have wigs cut like bowls.
James, that just bowled me over. Number 2.
Number 2.
Chris Gardner wrote a piece in The Hollywood Reporter that I didn't want to read. There's a gorgeous drone aerial photo of a beautiful yacht in the azure blue sea next to a desert island. The yacht is about 500 feet long. It happens to be called the Rising Sun, and it belongs to David Geffen. And the headline of the piece is How David Geffen's Yacht Photos Became a Status Thing. And I was like,
everybody, Obama, Oprah, everybody is
Carly
always
Kloss.
And I was like, you do not want to read this article. It's going to make you bitter and jealous.
Because you want to be on it?
Well, no. I went through a complicated range of emotions. And I was like, don't read this. You don't want to read this. It's disgusting. And then it's like, I kind of want to see what it's like. And I did read it. And I sort of felt
icky.
Well, it's like, I mean, this is the problem with Instagram, right? Because like you follow some celebrities, and every summer it seems all they do is splash around on yachts in the Mediterranean.
All these people who are on vacation.
Do they do any freaking work?
Nobody does any work anymore. I've had to stop going to Instagram sometimes.
And it's not because it's not because you want to do that yourself, is it? Is it
10% of it is yes.
There's a bit of envy,
the other
right?
half.
Okay.
There's also a bit of like, it doesn't feel. The times are changing, and I don't feel. I begin to think it's icky to flaunt your wealth right now.
Well, and like, how much fuel and everything for a vacation for a party of like 5 people?
It is.
Right.
I mean, the carbon footprint is out of control.
But there's something. Okay, so the article goes, David Geffen famously shuns interviews, so his Instagram account, which the mogul philanthropist launched in 2016, offers the only window into his private world, and what a view. I mean, that alone is sort of cloying and sycophantic, like shuns interviews, but he has an Instagram account. Oh, and then
I've got to say, a friend of mine was just in the south of France with a very famous designer, and they had a top-down Rolls Royce that they were driving around, but there was a strict no picture policy. So it's like this weird push me pull me of look at me. I'm in a Rolls Royce, but don't take any pictures.
Yeah.
But we can, but don't look at me. And it's that thing of all celebrity that drives me a little crazy is the push me pull me of fame.
Well, if you're about to vomit, it's going to get worse. Yachting etiquette says guests should pause before pulling out a smartphone. A quote. You can do a dry run test by taking your phone out to pretend to check a message. If you see the boat owner get antsy or look your way, put it right back. After all, the yacht is their sanctuary.
Yeah.
And then they said, Geffen, 76, is not strategic about the shots he posts. Really? And then someone else, another friend, who I guess is quote says, he's just at the place in his life where he just doesn't care. Really? No.
This is not the time to not care.
Right.
No, but it also goes back to this new Ryan Murphy show that's on with Gwyneth Paltrow and Jessica Lange.
Yeah.
And it's about following the rich and famous as they're being bratty and everything like that. And it's just not fun anymore like it was in the 80s, like Dynasty was in the 80s. I think watching rich people be brats is annoying now.
Well, even in the early aughts, remember like The Fabulous Life of on VH1, it was a big thing, but now it's like
Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. I don't think now is the time for things like that. I think I just find it distasteful and vulgar.
But I just sort of find myself looking into my own dark heart and thinking, oh God, it's like everybody wants to be on this freaking yacht with David Geffen. And I was thinking, like, God, imagine, okay, we're sitting here and suddenly, ping, because I can assure you this piece, well, David's not listening, so it's okay. But I can assure you he won't ever invite us. But imagine, ping.
This is probably like being all over his yacht.
Been invited. What would we do?
Well,
it sounds stressful to go on it,
is very
right?
But it's that same thing I was just talking about, where there are these people like they look like they have these fabulous lives, but you don't really want to spend any time with them because they're so uptight and so boring and irritating.
Right.
Like Elizabeth Taylor, David Geffen, they're the same person to me. Like it just seems they're very high maintenance. And it just feels
very
like
exhausting.
Exhausting.
Maybe they like being around. Maybe they cancel each other, like noise canceling headphones. You're in company of them and that sort of energy draining, oxygen sucking cancels each other out, and they manage to get on maybe.
But they
or something.
aren't just sitting around having fun and playing board games and dressed in jeans and t-shirts. I mean, like they are all.
It's all performative, right?
Yes, and
it's all Halston like.
Yes, and you have to dress right for the yacht, and you have to act right. It's like it's not just friends hanging out.
Well, it's like that Google conference, right, that they had on to Sardinia, and sort of every jet and every yacht kind of
with
converged
Katy Perry and
for
Prince
virtue
Harry
signaling.
No.
Anyway, I'll just give you this final gem from the article, which really left me feeling so much lesser. I knew I shouldn't have read it, and I did.
Do you want a yacht? Do you want a yacht
to invite? I mean, it looks very nice.
Do you want? Would you invite all of us, or would you be hoity-toity and just
I'd be
invite
like James.
Dion?
Don't let James.
We could go, but we're in the crew quarters.
No, but would you fall into that trap and just invite Dion and Chaz?
Just the famous people you don't know, like Oprah and I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know I shouldn't say it on Radio Andy, but I'm just not that interested in famous people.
But it's true. It's true. I think it's a sign of the time.
But lastly, should you get invited, James, common etiquette is to photograph and post exterior shots only. Now, this is why on David Geffen's Instagram, all the shots look the same, because they're all standing on the poop deck. And this is because the common etiquette is to post...
There was a gay bar in Florida called the Poop Deck.
Moving on. If the inside quarters are ever photographed, it's typically done by professionals in carefully curated photo shoots to protect expensive artwork and furniture. I mean, really, I have to say, okay. Oh, moving on, you can now watch the entire Work the World series on our streaming service, Wow Presents Plus.
Yep.
Also available, Season 2 of RuPaul's Drag Race Thailand and RuPaul's Drag Race UK coming October 3rd, to be exact. That's day and date with the BBC.
Yep.
So you really want to go to wow-presents.com. Why, James?
Because it's cheaper than the price of a latte.
Thank you, Blake. Yes. We have to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll reveal the number one thing this week that made us go, wow.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. We've been counting down the top 10 things that make us go, wow. And we have reached number one.
Number one.
Which is going to send James into a spiral.
Bitch, 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 bitch.
What is it?
The 2019 VMAs.
Oh, well, there is a lot to talk about there. I will give you that.
Well,
I
first
did not
of all,
watch it.
Well, you didn't watch any of it?
No, I boycotted it this year.
Well, Taylor Swift opened the VMAs, and the very first shot, there's an aerial shot of her like laying out with the, what are those things called?
Drag queens.
No, those things that fold out like you're tanning with.
The tanning beds.
No, the silver one.
Yeah, like a silver thing. Well,
Reflector,
anyway,
a reflector.
it's her and Todrick Hall and Dexter Mayfield, who are both wild celebrities. So they like open, and then they both sat with her the entire show.
I have a feeling that Todrick wrote the song You Need to Calm Down.
Well, he executive produced the video.
Right,
Co-exec.
okay. Well, the video, of course, is the one with Rue and every drag queen that we've ever been a part of. And
Every celebrity.
And every celebrity, yeah.
And what
Ryan
was the performance
Reynolds.
like? What
Well,
happened to them?
It was awesome. Then they just kind of like pull back the camera, and it's a huge party, sort of like
Jay
the video.
Jolie was dressed just like her.
Yeah, all of our drag queens were there. Delta Work, Trinity K. Bonet,
Jay Jolie.
Jay Jolie.
Manila?
I don't know. A lot of them.
Did you also see a number where the Artists for Justice or giant things with emoticons?
Yeah, there were a lot of that. I think it's my roommate Steven kept calling it AR, augmented reality.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right.
So like and then Lizzo had a really great performance.
God damn, we love some Lizzo.
What did she do? What did she perform?
She performed Truth Hurts, and
100% that bitch?
yeah, that's Truth Hurts.
Okay,
Juice?
No juice. It was her older one, Good as Hell.
Now, also, Miley
But
did a new
there was
song.
a huge ass on the stage.
Did you see in The Onion, and they were saying the flight attendants were mad at her for trying to shove the huge ass in the overhead bin on her way home.
I love The Onion. Did you see the article on The Onion? This is off topic, but about how principals are getting on to the girls for their
the bulletproof
the
vest.
bulletproof vest can't be showing off their midriffs.
Yes. But anyway,
Miley Cyrus did her new song.
and-
I loved that performance. It was just like stripped back, just her and like string players.
And apparently Missy Elliott tore the damn stage
Missy
up
Elliott
and
was amazing.
Taught the kids what a performance was, by God.
And then finally, John Travolta mistook Jay Jolie for Taylor Swift.
Well,
when he was
people were
given the
also
award.
saying that it was the award for, being your true self or something like that, and it was freaking John Travolta and
Queen Latifah.
Queen Latifah, two people who have no clue
And
on
Queen Latifah was
living their truth.
Queen Latifah was in the audience, like applauding everything Taylor did. With her girlfriend.
Don't get me started on Queen Latifah.
Thanks for tuning in to the Wow Report on Radio Andy Sirius XM. Listen to previous episodes on our YouTube channel, Wow Presents. Same time, same place next week. Until then, go out and do something that makes the world go wow.